to another episode of The Mind of Reese. I'm so happy to be here today. We have so much to talk about. It is so bananas. So I just got back from Denver at Living Brave Live, just spoke in front of 200 people, my beautiful story that I call The Beautiful, My Gift of Rock Bottom. And in this story, I don't know, most of you guys know I talk about this all the time on my podcast and in the online spaces, that back in 2016, I had gotten publicly caught for taking tattoos that were not my own. And, in that time, it was like, it felt like it ruined like my whole life. Like what I had done was like the worst thing that I could have done. I called it the cardinal sin. I call it the cardinal sin now. I'm just like, oh my God, I did the worst of the worst thing that I could have ever done in an industry I so desperately wanted to love me. And when I got caught so publicly, it was like the fall from grace was so fucking hard, but so fucking meaningful. Like, I'm so happy that I got caught, that I'm so happy that I got called out. Because if that didn't happen, it's like, I don't even know what I would do. And so, of course, I tell this story a lot. And of course, the other day I talk about it and it goes absolutely fucking buck wild. It goes viral. Not only goes viral, but then hate threads about that post go viral. And so in a matter of, I don't know, less than like 48 hours, this thing is gathering up so much information and opinions about what my truth is, and people have really high opinions about it. And so today we're going to talk a lot about exponential impact, and how to get it, what it means to get it, and really what kind of identity shifts you have to do it. And actually, exponential impact is the theme for the arc this month in September. So exponential impact's the theme this month. It's a badass theme. We're talking about not only the energetics, but also the strategies of behind the messaging, what kind of impact we want, what are we garnering, what are we doing, and how we do it, that kind of vibe. And so if you want to go in there, it's my cancel anytime membership of $88 where you get like daily trainings, 2 calls with me, all the fun stuff. It just gets to be super fun. And we're going to be talking about something really good. And also just really the spiritual and mental health and vitality side of things when you have large impact. And so the reason why people are like, I want big impact, but I want impact in the way that I want impact, not in the way that the world wants impact, not in the way that the universe might give me impact. Like I want to be able to control how I receive impact. And that's something you're not going to be able to control. I'll tell you this right now. So going back to this story where, in 2016, all of this thing happened. And in that time, I'd quit tattooing. And there was something in me in that year that I had quit that I really desired to come back. I was on a very beautiful spiritual healing journey between like 2016 and, well, it's up until now, but like a really, really deep one at that time because I had that rock bottom moment. I had that moment of like the dark night of the soul, having to figure out like who I was. How could I even gain back my own integrity? How could I even gain back my own self-respect? Because of the fact that like what I had done, I truly believed was unforgivable. And, and so did everybody else. So like everybody justified that belief within me. And so it was just a kind of revolving door inside of me. And so I realized, after that had happened, like there's 3 kind of like levels of healing that you need to go through in order to really create exponential impact, especially with yourself. And even if you've never done anything like what I had done, which was just, it is what it is. It's just like purely, driven by the need for validation and attention in a way that cut corners. And obviously that trade-off to do that instead of go the route of just like, oh, grow. Like it's funny because I had someone, we'll get into that actually, but to get the exponential growth, instead of going from this way, I went from that validation part of it and doing that. The way that I needed to heal, there's 3 different parts to healing in this. So there's one part, it's like the actual forgiveness part. Like, can I actually forgive myself? And in these first couple of years, it was like that moment where I was like, I only have me. I lost friends, sponsorships, clients, hate mail. Like it was crazy the amount of DMs I received where people were like, you should just kill yourself. And I actually thought about it. Like, not thought, like for me, I think to be honest, like I personally, I don't want to say it like this to be inconsiderate, but I'm too much of a coward to do something like that. Like, I didn't think about it in the way where like I would actually hold a knife to any part of my body, but it did go into my mind and make me think about like, yeah, this is that unforgivable. And I believed it. There was a part of me that believed it was so unforgivable. So it took a really long time to crack that wall in my body that said I was absolutely unforgivable and I could never change, and that you will always be like this and everybody will always see you as a liar and a thief. And the word always sprinkled into that, it gets thrown around really easily when we're generalizing things, and that's what happened to me. So I just thought always. So I had to crack that. I had to crack that by myself because nobody else was going to do it. You know what I mean? Like I sought therapy and all of these things, but it ultimately had to be my choice. I had to open myself up to that forgiveness. So that's the first layer. So in that time, I was like slowly coming back, slowly building my business, really a faceless account. I was really hiding behind like my shop's page for a while. And then, then slowly started coming back as myself, but not really showing my face, just focusing on my tattoos, focusing on my confidence, and focusing on the relationship with myself at that time. And so like I cracked the code on forgiveness there. And then there's this second level. And this second level is really about acceptance. It's like, I accept my past. I forgive my past. I accept my past. Now in the acceptance area, it's like, yeah, I accept that this is what it is. That's my past. But there's still something there that's like, yeah, it's my past, but I don't want to bring it up again. Like at the time when I started to really truly come back out into the industry, people would ask, can we do interviews on you? I had Inc. Magazine want to do interviews on me about it. I've had people wanting to do podcasts about it. And everybody was like, don't do it, Reese. Don't do it. Don't bring it back up. It's over. Don't put yourself out there like this. It's over. And so there's that acceptance piece where like, yeah, I'm willing to talk about it face to face, but I'm not willing to I don't want to bring it up. And I don't there's still, it's like, that's a good part of healing. But then there's still something stopping you. There's still a performance there. There's still like energy there's still that energy and that need to protect the heart. That need to protect the heart. And then there's still that sense of like people pleasing in there. There is. I mean, you think about it. If I'm like trying to withhold who I am, I'm not fully accepting who I am, but there's one level of acceptance. There's several levels of forgiveness. There's like 3 levels of forgiveness in psychology. And like therapy, psychotherapy and things like that. But there's three levels to forgiveness. There's 3 levels of acceptance. And so there's all these levels. But for me, it's like, got the forgiveness. There's 3 steps to forgiveness. And then you got the acceptance, and there's like 3 steps to acceptance. And then I call it unfuckwithable truth. Then you've got unfuckwithable truth. So you've healed the forgiveness, the acceptance, and then unfuckwithable truth. This is like full-blown fucking ownership. This is where you've actually decided that you're going to wake up from the motherfucking matrix and you're going to be like, actually, this thing happened through me. Yes, this was a thing. It happened. And it's happening through me. See, the thing is that I believe in karma, and I believe in karma in its neutrality. Every decision you make is a trade-off, and that trade-off comes with a consequence. Whatever it is, whatever you deem the consequence, a good one or a bad one, that is completely up to you. I can absolutely deem that my past was a bad one, and that I can continue to look at myself as a bad person. Or I could look at what I'd done as a bad thing I did, and that I've learned, and that I choose to believe that me getting canceled by the industry and losing everything from sponsors, clients, and things like this, and that I choose that it's a gift from the universe. And when I choose that, it no longer owns me, and I no longer play small. And so when I choose that meaning, which is my motherfucking choice, everybody else's opinion is what it is. When I choose that, I have unfuckwithable truth. I have unfuckwithable ownership. I have unfuckwithable self-expression. So here's what happens with this. So I'm on stage. I'm telling the people this story. I'm telling 200 plus people this story. I had no idea how much it was going to impact people, because this story is so alchemized in my body, and it continues to alchemize every time I tell it. It is like I got off that stage. I don't know how many people came up to me in tears, crying, like, how did I do it? Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. And it was like, my heart cracked wide open. I was like, I had already known that this story was the source to my greatest power, that this story was going to be to lead me on my soul's purpose. I knew that. I knew that going into this. But to hear it from the mouths of people when they hear this story, and how brave I am to talk about it, because nobody wants to talk about the shitty things that they do in their past. Nobody wants to tell anybody about how they were a terrible friend or a girlfriend, or they did this, or they said this, or they snapped at that. They don't want to own that shit. They want it to be like, oh, well, it's over. I just want to forget and sweep it under the rug. And like, that's your right as well. But it doesn't mean that you are not still continuing to try and control energy in your body. And that's a lot of the reasons why people have so much stress. People are constantly on the chase, the force, the hunt for the next thing. Like, the reason why I know that is because that was me. I was that girl. 9 years ago, when all of this shit happened, and before that, it was like I did drugs, sex, and alcohol to mask my insecurities and anxieties and my shame. I needed people to tell me that I was pretty enough, skinny enough, good enough to be on TV. Because I was on TV 2 years into my career. And when I started getting hate from that, I was like, oh my God, this hate dug a hole inside of my body. When people started hating me, saying like, you're a 2-year tattooer on television, like, go fuck yourself, you shouldn't be on there. And this industry can be ruthless, and it was very male dominated, of course. So there's all these opinions about a 2-year tattooer being on TV and having so much success when she, inadvertently didn't even suck. Like, to be honest, I was successful before I even did anything, before I took those tattoo photos and posted them as my own. But I had lack of so much self-love that the validation was like a drug to me. And so I did this horrible thing. I totally agree. I'm like, fuck, I can't justify it. I don't justify it. I just fucking own my mistakes. Like, that's the thing, you guys. I'm not trying to justify my mistakes. I'm just trying to own my mistakes. And when I own them, they no longer own me, and I no longer play small. Nobody else owns me when I own me. So I say this beautiful speech. I get a lot of loving. I'm alchemized. There's so much beautiful energy that's happening. I'm revved up. Whenever you go to in-person things, this is what I love about in-person events, is because it's like collapsing time on mentorship in like 3 months. That's why I love having my retreats, which I'm having one in January. And if you want to come with us to Mexico for 4.5 days, it's like masterminding, relaxing, brand photo shoots, all of these really great things on the beach in Mexico, luxury events, hired chefs, all-inclusive thing. Just get your ass there. You know what I mean? Like, come and alchemize and heal and be in sisterhood. Like, this is a vibe, right? So this is a vibe. And so when we're in that, it's like, it literally collapses like 3 to 6 months worth of healing and growth in your business and in your life within like 5 days. Like, one day I had 2 days with these women, and it was just like collapse time. So of course I'm like, I've got ideas out the wazoo. I'm so excited for content. I'm so excited to share. And so I share. And since we'll get into messaging and the semantics and the strategies later, but since I am an incredible storyteller, I was able to anchor people in really quickly into this post. And it's funny because when I think about these posts that I do for others, that like when I do posts, like I have a whole methodology behind it. I have a 7-part method, my iconic method that I utilize in Beyond the Stars, which is now open for enrollment. If you guys want to get in, hurry your butts. Let's do this together. Whole year-long container. I teach this in here, and I was like, oh, okay. And I automatically do this already because it's so fast to me. I just memorize the way that I teach how to really create relationship marketing and values-based marketing, and high converting marketing. So this is something that I teach in this space. This is what I do. So in my mind, I'm like, not even thinking, I'm just like, I'm going to tell this story. But the way I tell stories, and this is how we create exponential impact, is the way that we tell stories. So we have a message, my message, turning shame into unfuckwithable, unapologetic self-expression, turning that shit into power, turning insecurities into power, turning your past into power. That is my message. That's what I do. And so that's my message for everything. So when I'm thinking about the vehicle, which is my tattoos, my programs, my mentorship, whatever it might be, even my content can be a vehicle because of the fact that I basically, since I do values-based content, I give a lot of value. I'm very generous. It's a value of mine to be generous in the online space and give a lot of value because I know that I believe in reciprocity. And so it'll all come back to me, which it has. Like I said, karma is neutral. It's all a series of trade-offs. I decide to do one thing, there's going to be a trade-off for that one thing I do. So if I believe by being generous and giving value, a lot of value, and leading in vulnerability, and being generous, values-based content, relationship marketing, attraction method marketing, high conversion marketing, I am going to, obviously, garner a lot of attention for things because I know how to tell stories. So when I go through this method, I was like, what's my message? Okay, got my message. That's easy. That foundational part's easy. So now it's like, well, what do I want this post to do? Well, I would like it to create deeper relationships, and I want it to convert because right now BTS is open. So I wanted it to convert it. And then so all of a sudden I was like, okay, what in the way do I want to say it? Well, I want to do it in an empowerment way. So there's 3 different ways to share content. I call it authority, empowerment, or activating. And so it's like, for me, it was like empowerment, activating. It was like the inspiration, but like, let me activate you. Like it was really about polarity in this moment. I wanted to activate people. And so I thought about, okay, I want to activate people. Okay, how do I want to do it? Well, let's just, I was like, well, let's talk about, like I had an offering I wanted to talk about. So it was like, I want to be activated. So I want to offer this at the back end. Perfect. Easy. How do I want to share it? Like in what way? Oh, I'm going to share it in the form of a carousel. Cool. Because when I think of carousels, they're not super high converting, but they're high converting for smaller, like for like the people that are ready for the next step people, right? So this is in my mind. I'm doing this and I'm like, cool. Then I jump off to, because so that's the, for me, it's like growing the community. That's the 4th part. That's what you learn in the 4th part of the iconic method in Beyond the Stars. And then there's the 5th part, which is the messaging, prolific messaging, teaching you prolific messaging and direct response messaging. So I'm just following my own motherfucking rules. I'm just following my own motherfucking rules. So I have my 5th part's my messaging. I understand that prolific messaging, the best kind of converting prolific messaging is to start in the middle. It's to start in the middle of the story. Don't start at the beginning of the story. Start in the middle of the story, bring it back to the beginning and tell us what you learned in the end, and then bring us into something that you think that is really high, like what it is. Bring us into the story, bring us into your wait list, bring us into commenting, whatever the conversion aspect of the action you want them to take is, that's what we do. So that's what I did. And because my method is so fucking spot on, and normally, I'm going to tell you guys one thing. Normally in carousels, it's not necessarily meant to go wide. It's meant to go narrow. Reels, on the other hand, meant to go wide. It's meant to gain visibility. If I'm looking for visibility, if that's the objective of my piece, then I would have probably used a reel. But since the objective was conversion and deepening a relationship, I chose carousel. And so it wasn't meant to go wide. But since my methodology is really good, this motherfucking thing went viral, okay? And so not only did I utilize my own iconic methodology on how to build values-based content through relationship and conversion marketing that I created on my own. It's my own framework, my own signature framework through Beyond the Stars. It's only 2 parts of it, by the way. There's 7. Of course I went viral because it's so easy to go viral. I just didn't expect it to go this viral. But I'm going to tell you one thing about exponential impact. Everybody wants to try and control how they impact people, how people react to them. And by you trying to control how people react to you is still a performance in the online space. Now, this whole piece, even though calculatively I knew exactly what I was doing, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, I knew exactly what was going to happen, all of these things, this is what happened. All of these things happened. I knew what I wanted to create. I did it based on my heart because I lead in vulnerable leadership. Vulnerable leadership is the third part of my method. So I'm kind of going back and forth from fourth, fifth, third. That's what we're doing, okay? The third part of my iconic method is actually how you lead. Not only how you lead others, but how you lead yourself. And in how I lead myself is because my value is generosity. So values-based content is to be generous. And I'm generous with my truth because that's what I believe in. And that's my whole message. Is like your truth will set you fucking free. Your truth will set you free. So in this post, I'm like, first thing I said, start in the middle. I quit tattooing. That's the middle of the story. But that got a lot of attention. And so in the middle, the next thing was in front of 200 people, I shared my story. Even though it still scares me to share this story because I'm putting myself up on a silver platter to be ridiculed, judged, and rejected. But I never said I wanted easy. I said I wanted freedom. That's how I started this story. You know what I mean? This is what I teach in my spaces. I'm like, let me teach you how to write a story. Like, this is what's coming. This is what's happening. And we're going to actually dive deeper into this in my next program, which is called Audacity. And you're not going to want to miss this next program. It's going to be so fucking juicy. If you're in BTS, you get this for free. Hey, yo. So I'm teaching this. So I'm saying this. Then I tell the story. Here's what I did. Yeah, I own my motherfucking truth. You want to know how I do that? Part 1. Talk about part 1. We anchor. We anchor into the truth. Who we are. What's the identity? Who do we desire to be? I want to be in so much fucking integrity. That's part 1 of the iconic method. Then part 2, it's like, well, in that anchoring of me, what part of my story in my life, my lived in a life stories, which is part 5, what part of those lived in a life stories that gives me that purpose, right? Which is part 2, the purpose. I'm so anchored in me. Now I find my purpose. This is my purpose. Oh my God, my past is my purpose. This thing that happened in my past, I'm going to alchemize this and turn it into my purpose. So of course, like, since this is my truth, this is what I believe in, this is what I believe everybody should be sharing. We want you to like now own that. So I own my truth. So I'm only being the embodiment of my brand by owning my shit. So I'm owning this in this post. And then of course I invite you and I'm like, this is what Beyond the Stars is all about. Growth as the whole artist. Because at the end of the day, like, there's no way that I would have been able to share this story in a way that would impact people in this. So like, this is where I'm at. Like, I want to share this story. And since I have the strategy and structure to share this story in a way that I know will garner attention and anchor people into, here's like, let me bring you into the story. Stories are so powerful. And so I tell this story. Now, I know what I'm doing. I know it's about to get a lot of attention. The amount of attention, though, I can't control. And this is the reason why it's so important to anchor. Because if I'm not anchored in exactly who I am and exactly what I'm doing and exactly like anchored into the roots of the earth and loving myself and owning who I am and continuing on this journey to understand that like my relationship to me is the most important fucking relationship to ever be. I only got me. So when we put ourselves out there into the world, do you have you? Do you have you? And at the end of this post, I'm like, how powerful is an artist when they have nothing to hide anymore? And that's what I said. How powerful is an artist when you have nothing to hide anymore? And I was like, I know you're scared and da-da-da-da, and here's the thing, comment BTS, blah, blah, blah. And I was so proud of this post. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. I love it. It followed my entire method. In my entire 7 steps in one post. I do it every single day, every single time I post. These 7 parts all coming together as one. And it's a revolving thing because these 7 parts, you have to constantly go through it. Like the relationship to yourself evolves and you continue to evolve and you continue to love yourself more. And the more you love yourself, the better you get at expressing yourself. And then when you put these like little strategies in place, then you express yourself in a way that actually works, right? Like the first thing I always want artists to do is to express themselves. That's going to garner impact, period. It's going to not only impact you, but it's going to impact everybody else that you surround. It's going to allow people to it's giving others permission, but you as the leader giving them permission versus you finding permission in others, which you can calibrate around that. That's what happened to me. I had to surround my people that gave themselves permission so that I could offer myself the permission to own the fuck who I am so that I can go out there and give permission. It's just like reciprocity. It's constantly giving away, giving, generosity, reciprocity. This is what we do. This is what I love to do. This is the way I love to do business. And so, of course, my shit works because it works. I've been doing it for years. So, of course, my methodologies work. But it worked really good, guys. It worked like almost too good. So, what ends up happening is that it goes viral. Literally, I'm like, oh, God, this is going viral. This is going viral. Oh. And then it starts to go viral where hate campaigns are going against me. And that starts going viral. And that starts going viral. And so more things are going viral, good and bad. I mean, you could look at it as good or bad, negative or positive, whatever. Like personally, negative, low vibrational energy. People don't believe that I should be celebrating my truth, nor should I be successful because of it. That's one side of it. And then there's the other side of it where people are like, fuck yes, this is what I want. This is exponential impact. Because at the end of the day, if you truly want impact, if you truly want to make a difference in this world in your own way, it doesn't mean you want to like lead thousands of people, but you got to learn how to lead yourself. Because at the end of the day, the whole point, I wasn't trying to go viral. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I never try to go viral anymore. Like I'm good honestly with losing lots of followers. Like I'd rather just have the tight knit group of people that I get along with. Like I don't have thousands of friends. I have hundreds of thousands of followers, or thousands of followers and tens of thousands of followers. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't really care about that. Like I care about relationships. You know, my goal is not to get more followers. It's to have better relationships. Like that's what I'm focused on. And that's what my vision is. So when you're focused on the vision, you're not focused. Like what the thing is that like I'm so focused on my vision of just creating relationship, but I'm also so focused of the truth of the moment. And that's what I lead from. Is that like that vulnerable leadership is the truth in the moment. I was feeling a vibe. I knew it was vulnerable, but I know that it can impact so many people, and that's an exponential impact. So what happens is that you're going to need to understand that your impact is meant to trigger people. It's going to activate them I look at activation as in a good way. It's like in a really, like, holy crap, I see myself in her. Then there's the triggering types where they're like, I fucking hate it. And the reason why they hate it, which is like the reason why I have so much compassion, is because there is a part of themselves that hates me so much because they can't be as self-expressed. And instead, what happens is that they hate me because the unexpressed parts are unable to shine within them because they hold it down. It's like when people hate Karens, the people that are like tattletales that are like, oh, this person didn't put their grocery basket back in the right line. It's because the reason why we hate them is because sometimes we are them, or we want to be them. Everything's just a mirror. So with people putting hate threads about me and having a lot of opinions about what I'm doing or how I'm gaining success or whatever, you know, those are those moments where I just see them like seeing their reflection in me, and it's like a distorted mirror. All they're doing is sending their projections they're sharing their projections, because honestly, social media is less than 0.0% an expression of who you are, and it's meant to be. Like, social media is so good for healing, and it's also so good for your business. But to be honest, it's so funny because for me, I am such a creature of like in the moment stuff. Like, I'm here to share my truth, be in integrity, be generous, like stay true to my values, be the embodiment of who the fuck I am and who the fuck I say that I am, because of how much I was not like that. So it is a value to me to master this, because of how much I was so out of integrity, how much I did not value myself, how much I did not have self-worth, and I wasn't like emotionally mature or available for that at that time. And I needed to learn that the hard way. It is what it is. It is what it is. Like, it's and so for me, it's like the greatest gift of the universe that I choose to look at that as something that's going to fuel my future and fuel my present moment. So when I post things, I set that shit and forget it. I'm not checking back. I go off and live my life. I go off and live a life worth talking about. That's the 7th part of my iconic method, is the energetics. It's like, you think you don't have stories to tell. If you probably do, you just don't want to tell them. You might be too afraid. So you got to go to part 1, which is your anchoring and being in leadership, which is your 3rd part. And then there's some people that are like, no, but I'm not afraid to tell my stories. I just don't have any stories to tell. Well, that's because you're so stuck in the scroll. You're scrolling too much. You keep checking back on your fucking page. That's not going to build you exponential impact. Like, literally, it's not going to... Social media isn't your business. Your business is your business. Social media is a part of your marketing in your business. Okay? Once you start feeling like you're a content creator, it's because you keep checking back on how that content is doing and making it mean something about you when you're checking back on that content. And so that's what makes you feel like a content creator, because content creators check back. Influencers check back. They need to. That's the whole point of their business. They need to consistently check back and check back and check back. Where if you are a personal brand and you have a brand, and social media is a marketing part of your whole ass business, you don't fucking check back on that shit. You go in there, you fucking do the post in that style. If you want to do it like me, come into BTS. I'll teach you my 7-part method on how to fucking do it. You do it in the strategic way. You share your soul. You vulnerably lead. You share it out. You set that shit and forget it. You check back maybe in 10 minutes just to make sure that you're responding back to anybody, to continue to create the fucking relationships, because we do relationship-based marketing. You check your DMs for another 10 minutes to see if anybody's there. You love on people there. And that's fucking it. You get off. You shouldn't be on social media for your job any longer than like an hour and a half a day at most. If you are on social media longer than that, checking back on your posts, that's why it feels hard. That's why it feels like, oh my gosh, you need more to do. The other things you should be doing and spending way more time on is your drawing, is your tattooing, is your defining who you are, is your self-expression, is like the relationship to yourself, is going out there and living a life worth fucking telling. Like, the thing is that business isn't hard. The hard stuff is doing the work on the inside, because what you're masking with the productivity that you think is getting you somewhere is getting you nowhere, and it's just making you frustrated. Okay? And so like, you don't gain exponential impact when you continue to check back. You gain exponential impact because you love yourself so much that you're like, I'm not always going to be in my business. I want motherfucking freedom. So I'm going to go live a life worth telling, have really beautiful fucking moments, have moments where I learn from them, come back, talk about it in a way that really ignites the message, the second part of the iconic method, the purpose, and then walk in that embodied way and share in that vulnerable leadership, the 3rd part, and then take it through the methodologies from 4th and 5th part, from growing the community to the messaging, and then fucking the 6th part, which is sell your little heart out, convert your little heart out. We teach selling too. Get booked out. You want to learn how to do that through content? I'll teach you. That's what we do. But we don't stay on there forever, you guys. Like, that's not the point of this. It's never been the point to be on social media for social media is meant to be omnipresent. You're meant to collapse time around people getting to know you. Okay? And so for me, when I start getting hate threats and stuff, the only reason why I know this is because people are texting me. And I'm like, and the people are like protecting me. They're like, oh, these guys suck. And I'm like, well, then why would you send me a screenshot of this? Why would you send me a screenshot of this? You know what I mean? And it's hate thread after hate thread. And I'm just like, cool, dude, thanks. And he's, you know, a friend of mine was like, they suck. And I was like, they're entitled to their opinion. They're entitled to the projection that they'll put me in. And if they like in their hearts, they truly believe that I'm unforgivable, that I shouldn't even have a business. I shouldn't even have a successful business, and I shouldn't even be allowed in the tattoo industry because of what I've done. And that's none of my motherfucking business. At the end of the day, my only business is who I am, who I believe I am, and what I'm doing. And if that post, you know, inspires one person to start looking at their spiritual and mental health and vitality and start to making that their primary and priority focus, and I promise you it will lead you to your success and wealth, which it has for me, then I've fucking done my job. And I don't give a shit if there's 1,000 comments on there where people are hating on me. Because at the end of the day, I live in the material world, but my consciousness is not here in the 3rd dimension. I'm in the 5th motherfucking dimension, you guys. Like, I'm looking at everybody as neutral. Yes, am I scared? Fuck yeah. When it started going viral, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, oh no. It's like, it feels like it just happened yesterday. I just got caught yesterday. It's like all of those feelings started to come back. But I have years of experience on how to hold myself and anchor myself. First part of iconic method. I have years of understanding how to love myself. And it is in those years that it reminds me that I know who the fuck I am. I know who the fuck I am. Can everybody say that? No. That's why they hate. And you know what? Let them. People will throw self-righteous stones at glass houses all of the time. And you know what? That's none of my motherfucking business. That's between them and fucking God, them and fucking the universe. And you know what? When people have that much hate in their body, they're already holding so much like pressure and energy in their body. They can't expand outside of what their victimhood is. Because at the end of the day, all I hope is that one day they will wake up. One day, maybe something I say will trigger them back to waking up. You know, I don't know how many times I've been told, I hated you, Reese. I couldn't stand you. You annoyed me. And then something happened and you whittled me down. And I realized that was me problem. That was a me issue. And I realized like how much I loved you. And so I joined your spaces. It's meant to happen. If you want exponential impact, of course, there's the methodology. Come and join me in BTS. We're open, you know, for a little while longer. Enrollment's still there. It's in the show notes. Go do it. That's the, you know, there's the strategy. And there's also the exponential impact in your own leadership to yourself and how you anchor into yourself. Because first things first for me, baby, the way I teach business is by way of spiritual and mental health and vitality. Like, we don't skip that part in my spaces. That's actually number one priority, motherfuckers. Like, you think you're going to get the XYZ? You will, but it won't work if you don't got you. It never will work. You can buy all of the fucking programs. You can Google all of the tactics. You can do all of the things. You can spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on the how, and you will never be able to do it. And I will tell you this with so much fucking conviction because I've seen it time and time and time and again. Until you can shift the relationship with yourself, with your fears, with the things that hold you back, and allow yourself to feel them. Not just shift the relationship to them, but open yourself to feeling disappointment. We're so avoidant. We're avoidant from in life. We're avoidant from life. Like, why am I an avoidant from life? I want to be anchoring to life. I want to be leaning into life. I don't want to be running away. I want to be leaning in. The more that I can accept and feel and know that I'm going to have doubts and like fears and all of these things that are going to come up, I'm going to wobble. I wobbled when I got that this morning from my friend. I was like, wow, I wobbled. And then I had to remind myself, I'm like, I wobble all the time. But the time from the wobble to remembering who the fuck I am gets smaller and smaller and smaller. That gap gets smaller. So anytime I wobble, I know how to fucking alchemize that shit and get to remembering who the fuck I am and how much I fucking love me and how much I'm fucking worth it. And my truth will set me free. And if people have opinions about it, that's just only going to lead to all of the people that want to be a part of it. So all of the hate stuff, people are going to find me and they're going to be like, actually, that was really fucking brave. And kudos to her. And I might never do it, but maybe I will one day, and it'll whittle them down and whittle them down and whittle them down and make them realize, wow, maybe my spiritual and mental health really is important. And if that's happening with or without me, with or without my spaces, I got no time to waste on this short life, you guys. I got no time to waste in this small, minute life to play small. And it's not even like I'm trying to play like big. I'm not trying to become some fucking celebrity. I just really believe in what I do. And the reason why I share the way I do is for me. At the end of the day, it's for me. Because I know it scares me. But I never said I wanted easy. I said I wanted freedom. And when it fucking scares me, that means it's a green light to fucking go. So I'm gonna go. And I will know how to anchor and hold myself with whatever happens after that, with little to no expectation for the outcome. And if I have a desired outcome, releasing as well. Releasing. Once it's out there, I'm like, okay, I release. I hope this happens like this, but if it doesn't, oh well. It didn't quite happen the way I was like, the way I imagined. But you know what? What I really love about the whole thing is that it means that my methodologies work. They work. They work. So if that's the kind of result that I'm going to get, then I'm down for it. And it obviously means that the universe, God, they believe that I'm fucking ready for more. When I want exponential impact, I'm going to go through my 7-part method. When I want exponential impact, I'm also going to release the how. When I want exponential impact, the universe is going to give it to me, but not in the way that I think, not in the way that I think I can control it. And so with this happening, yeah, there's a lot of hate, but there's a lot of fucking love too. And you know what? When I went through all those comments, I was like, I mean, I could look at the 5 to 10% of hate, mean, horrible things people are saying, or I can look at the 90% of really fucking nice things people are saying. And even if it was 50-50, I would still look at how many people have written me long messages, DMs, saying thank you so fucking much for owning your truth and saying this thing. I really needed it. I will hold on to that way longer than the other shit. And then hate threads can go viral. I don't fucking care. At the end of the day, I know who the fuck I am. All right, guys. Well, that is it for today's episode. I hope that really just opened you up to start arguing for your dreams. You know what I mean? And not against it. Because at the end of the day, it's like shit's always going to hit the fan. For me, it's about, yes, I want to get you the result to where you want to go, but it's also I want you to feel really good while you're getting there. And that's more important to me than anything, because this thing we call life is always a journey. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode.